If you want to experience the SportsMed difference, they are getting us through day 4 here inside the College Football Hall of Fame. Your rundown looks like this: Missouri, Kentucky, Arkansas, and Texas A&M coming your way at 8:05 this morning. Eli Drinkwitz will take over our airways. We'll let you hear a little bit of what the Missouri Tiger head coach has to say. Coming up at 9:50, Mark Stoops. Coming up at high noon, Sam Pittman, head coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks. And then Mike Elko at 1:45. That's your rundown for your head coaches. Drew DeArmond, last day, best day.
Well, it's the best day of the or week of the year, pardon me. SEC media days for us in the radio industry. You know, it's been a decade for me. It's always great to reconnect with people and get a chance to get some FaceTime and spend some time with folks that grind like we all do. And that's what this week is. It is a long one.
It is.
But we try to bring everyone, great content. And, we bring you SEC network content. That's
it's a privilege to be here.
It really is. And, and you get a chance to hear on our airwaves from head coaches throughout the week. We do a great job on our YouTube channel, WZZN TV, of bringing you a lot of that content, and from players.
Yes.
Had a chance to be around Arch Manning for the first time, which is, he's a rock star because of his family name and because of he playing at the University of Texas. So it's always great to be around those guys. But this is his first year starting, so we haven't had a chance to hear from him, from our perspective in Huntsville, Alabama, because, of course, the Texas media has covered him. But we get a chance to get to know him a little bit. That's always great. And then you get to know other kids that get a spotlight on them. We featured Tim Keenan on our airwaves yesterday from the University of Alabama, fifth-year guy from Ramsey High School. It seems like just yesterday I was watching him play his senior year at Legion Field against Pleasant Grove in a very high-level 5A football game. And that turned out to be his last high school game, man, because he suffered a knee injury, but he's come to Alabama and he's just become a stalwart on the inside. And, Alabama's got a chance to have one of the better defensive lines in the SEC. I think it's the key to their entire football team, honestly, because, we've talked about it, and we're going to talk Bama today because yesterday was Bama Day and kind of get our reaction. But, again, the thing is, I think Alabama defensively, if the defensive line is the real deal, they can be as good as any defense in the Southeastern Conference. And
right.
I think they have the deepest secondary in the league. And then, of course, Deontay Lawson was here. He's coming back from an ACL injury. I know we're fixing to hear from Deontay. And he and Justin Jefferson, two guys that really weren't expected to be back a year ago because Justin got that unexpected – I'm going to start calling it Diego Pavia because that's what it is, the Diego Pavia JUCO year. And then Deontay tears his ACL late in the season against Oklahoma and Norman. He's going to come back now. And then you've got, Mekhi Hill-Green, from Colorado, and so he's a very experienced player. And so your inside linebacker group now is old, and you've got some young guys, the Luke Metzes of the world, that they've recruited in this class that'll get a chance to, learn from the older guys, which will hopefully help them transition to next year.
One of the topics that was brought up yesterday with the Alabama players was the Castellanos comments, the Florida State quarterback who said Alabama, remember those comments, he said Alabama doesn't have Nick Saban anymore and that he does not fear the Crimson Tide. Well, as you might imagine, media getting a chance yesterday for the first time to really ask the players their thoughts on that. And, of course, Deontay Lawson was asked.
Quarterback Thomas Castellanos, transfer from Boston College, had some choice words this offseason, some bulletin board material talking about how he don't think that your defense can stop him, and said that they're not the same without Nick Saban. To a leader of that defense, to hear those comments, what's your reaction?
Yeah, obviously people going to say what makes them feel the most confident. But it's something, we can't really worry about because nothing matters other than what goes on inside those lines. And, we'll see when the game gets here, and, we'll prepare and make sure we're ready for August 30th. And, we'll see when we get here.
Of course, he's saying that as he's kind of smiling as well. So he picked his words very wisely right there.
Pardon me, Scott, but as I was saying, I mean, especially with a guy like Castellanos who's very mobile. He's probably, and with Gus Malzahn, he's not going to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
So the inside backers like Deontay Lawson, like Justin Jefferson, like Nikai Hill-Green, who's transferred from Colorado, they're going to be a big part of the game plan. But my reaction would have been similar to Deontay's, except for it would have been a little bit shorter and more succinct. I just would have said, we're going to let our pads do the talking August 30th.
Right.
And so, and we're going to prepare and we're going to be ready for the Florida State Seminoles. And that's all I would have said. And, let Castellanos keep writing checks with his ass that is, or with his mouth that his ass can't, that his ass can't, his ass can't cash. But, we'll see. That's the old Antonio Langham before Miami, game, because Miami was so talkative. And he's like, there's some of these guys that are writing checks with their mouths that their bus can't cash.
Yeah.
And we see how they cashed them. They all bounced.
Head coach Kalen DeBoer talked yesterday, talked to the media, talked to a bunch of people. And one of the things that he kept coming back to was the fact that there were so many close games last year for Alabama that they didn't quite finish them the way they should have. Here's Coach talking about that.
We got to be better in the big moments. We lost some close games last year, and we had chances, maybe not even in the fourth quarter, but we had chances earlier in the game to separate ourselves or make a play here or there. And whether it was the belief or whether it was the confidence, a lot of that just comes through repetitions. And so we've really had a great offseason, understanding where we fell short, why we fell short, not just the what and the how, but the why. And I'm excited about our guys, taking those next steps, understanding when we get in those moments this year, those critical times, how to come through and make the play that's necessary to go win football games.
Kalen DeBoer talking about those moments, those close moments. Like he said, may not be in the fourth quarter, but there were moments last year where Alabama was just head-scratching and gave away a lot of things.
Well, they gave away the Oklahoma game with 2 turnovers to start the second half. I mean, it was a very close game up to that point. And they dug a hole of 24-3 and ended up losing that game 24-10. So they, turnovers were huge in that game. Turnovers were big, even at Vanderbilt. Though they came back and made a football game out of it, they dug a 14-0 hole, and they were having to dig their way out the rest of the football game. And turnovers played a huge outcome in that game, no doubt about it. And then we all remember the start of the bowl game. I mean, Alabama, they were lucky they weren't down 28-0. They did a good job of standing on their head, and they ended up losing the football game. I think they dug a 16-0 hole against Michigan, who had a good defense, even with some first-round guys sitting out. But Milroe was a turnover machine, like he was pretty much all year. But when he protected the ball, like against LSU, against Georgia for the most part, you saw what he could do. Alabama's offense was very, very difficult to stop. But, they in all their losses, turnovers were key. And, and just digging holes because they got behind 3 scores against Michigan. They got behind, 3 scores against OU, and then, and 2 scores against Vanderbilt. All those games, they just dug holes, and then Tennessee, they were up a touchdown at the half, but they really should have been up 3 scores. And they didn't build a big enough lead. And Tennessee was a college football playoff team and had the best running back in the league, I thought, last year in Dylan Sampson. And they just wore Alabama down in the second half. But Alabama did get some takeaways in the first half. But in that particular game, wasn't so much the turnovers, even though a turnover late sealed it for Tennessee, that Milroe, threw a pick. But Milroe he couldn't take advantage of some opportunities and didn't cash in those. So Alabama didn't play great complementary football last year. They got to get better at doing that, and that'll enable them to finish, especially on the road. They were good at home, undefeated, but as Kalen DeBoer said yesterday, they got to get better on the road.
Deontay Lawson was here. Caden Proctor was here as well. Tim Keenan III was here. You heard from him over our airwaves. One we have not heard yet is from Caden Proctor, the offensive lineman from Iowa, which
the brother's got to hook me up, man. Because
170 bottles of cologne.
I had one and it's gone. You saw me throw it in the trash this morning. I mean,
fake though, fake. It was
black is gone.
It was an imposter.
Well, it smelled good, but I mean, it's just. But it's finally, after a few years, it's gone. And
how long did it last you?
A few years. I bought it several years ago for $10, and
off a street corner, right?
I guess it was off Facebook Marketplace in some parking lot, but it still did its job. It was a good investment.
Wait a minute. You bought cologne off Facebook Marketplace and met in a parking lot to pick it up.
Yeah, it was good. I had to run some errands anyway. I mean, we tell the truth on this show.
I know. I'm just picturing you pulling into a parking lot to pick up a bottle of cologne.
Yeah, man.
At 3 a.m., right?
No, hell no. This is in the middle of the afternoon. This lady was just doing a side hustle.
Anyway,
and then but my man's got 170.
Yes, he does.
He's got to have an NIL deal, right? I mean,
I don't know.
I mean,
is he buying the knockoff versions? Is he buying the real version?
What he's paid, I doubt it.
Anyway, here's Caden Proctor on the depth of Alabama's offensive line this fall.
I would say every single offensive lineman, just going from the whatever top 6 to all 20 of them, even the walk-ons, we're working our tails off in the weight room, in the meeting room. Like especially I just want to highlight the freshmen that have came in. All of them came in ready to go, ready to work. I would say even better than me when I came in as a freshman. They just have that level of intensity to them, and I know they want to work. But the top 6, I mean, whoever those 5 are that are, come August 30th, I'm gonna be proud of each one of them, and I know that the coaches are going to make the best decision moving forward. So,
I think he's matured quite a bit. He because trust me, his freshman year was up and down,
right?
And we know that the story's well documented that he didn't want to, almost didn't play in the Rose Bowl. NIL situation, banged up, homesick, all that kind of stuff. And then that's one of the reasons why he went back to Iowa for a semester.
Yeah.
But then he ends up coming back to Alabama, realized he made a mistake. And, and then grew up even more because we all know the story against Western Kentucky last year. He tore his labrum in warm-ups and then did not play in that game and came back the next week, played the rest of the season, shot up with a torn labrum, and then didn't do much this spring. So now there's been a lot made out of it that both times one thing that Caden Proctor hasn't had, it's pretty shocking when you think about it. He never participated in spring practice at Alabama fully.
Yeah, that's true.
Because he went back to Iowa after his freshman year, I know he enrolled, and I guess the only time was before his freshman year because I guess if I remember correctly, he did enroll early, but that's the only one in which he fully participated. And to correct myself, because most of these guys are early enrollees. I believe he did enroll early, but his last 2 springs, the second one going into his sophomore year, he was in Iowa, and he didn't go through spring practice at Iowa. He never practiced.
No, he did not. He did attend basketball games, but he never practiced.
But he left Iowa before spring practice. And then, without, I think it did not started quite yet when he made his decision during spring break to, when the University of Alabama was on break, he reunited with some of his teammates like Wilkin Formby, decided to come back. So he didn't have spring practice. And this past spring, he was, taking mental reps, but he was coming back from the surgery, so he didn't have any. So a lot of people wonder how that's going to affect. So this fall camp for him is very vital. Mm-hmm. He needs to stay healthy. And if he's dominant, I think he can be the best football player on the team and be a guy at a very premium position in the NFL, whether it be right or left. I don't know what he's going to play in the NFL, but, both right and left tackles are some of the highest paid in football. And this is a huge year for Caden Proctor to be a leader and produce.
All right, 7:15 here on a Thursday morning. It's our final day of SEC Media Days live.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow we will have Well, we work after our show is done. We do not just pack things up and put it in a cooler. We will have an entire show for you of interviews you have not heard yet here on Talking Ball. We have got 5, 6 interviews.
We've still got one left to do.
Yeah, I don't know where we're going to put it.
Well, man, look, man.
We only have 2 hours.
Look, man, you can never have enough content, man.
I don't know where we're going to put it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But anyway, that will be tomorrow's show. So you will hear us here tomorrow from SEC Media Days as we wrap it all up with interviews you have not heard throughout the week. But we got to get a break in now because when we come back, yes, there is plenty of news to talk about here at SEC Media Days. There's also news that happened last night away from SEC Media Days involving the Auburn Tigers, and we've got to touch on that when we return. It's Talking Ball live from the College Football Hall of Fame on a Thursday. Bring you Thursday's coverage here from the College Football Hall of Fame, SEC Media Days, our final day live here in the ATL. And it has been a wonderful experience through 4 days. I tell you, it's an honor just to wear the credential. And, you look around and there's a lot of professional media members here. And that's what makes it fun, is when you get to come out here and have a little fun. But I tell you, we do get to relax just a smidge. Last night, you should have come with us. Last night, Steve and I walked over to Mercedes-Benz Stadium, the Atlanta United, the soccer team here in town, and the SEC. They said, "Hey, look, we have a limited availability for tickets. If you would like some, let us know." Basically, you put your name in. If you were lucky enough to get them, we got them. We went over and watched MLS soccer inside Mercedes-Benz Stadium. We had prime seats. We were about 20 rows up from the field, from the pitch. See, look at that. 20 rows up from the pitch. Big, nice, comfy leather seats and stuff. I mean, it was fantastic. But we do work hard, but we also play hard here as well. But Sportsmed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center helping us kick off our last day.
And we eat good as always.
Oh, we eat good. We eat good. But it's one day. We eat here inside whatever the Omni decides to cook for the day. But then, usually we have a team or a station dinner one night.
It's a tradition.
It's a tradition, yes. And this year,
shout out to Cuts in Atlanta.
You, for the first time, had lobster, fried lobster, but nonetheless, deep fried lobster.
Paid for it the next morning, but it was good. I'll tell you what.
I don't. That's. We don't hold back. It's Tell the Truth Thursday or whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, we talked about going to the break that there's a lot of news that come out of SEC Media Days, and you know what though? For the most part, it's been pretty tame. It's been pretty quiet. There's really not been anything earth-shattering that has come out of SEC Media Days, but that doesn't mean the news with college football doesn't stop. And it came away from SEC Media Days last night, and it does involve the Auburn Tigers. We talked about how the wide receiver core should be improved for Auburn, could be a factor. One of those guys that we talked about was Malcolm Simmons. We talked about how he could be an X factor, but the news not good coming out of Auburn last night surrounding Malcolm Simmons.
No, I mean, he had a great freshman year after finishing at Benjamin Russell High School, kind of really outperformed the expectations, even though he was a four-star player, because Cam Coleman came in with most of the accolades. But Malcolm Simmons, I thought, was an even better player as a freshman now.
Right.
40 catches, second on the team, 3 touchdowns, punt return for a touchdown. But he was arrested last night in a domestic dispute. And according to the police report, he was booked into the Lee County Jail at 620, bond $20,000, and it was domestic assault with strangulation or suffocation. So that
there's a lot of legal
there.
A lot of legal stuff that has to play out. But when you see the charges of domestic assault and everything else, it's not a good look at all. And like we said, the legal process will have to play out to see how Hugh Freeze, John Cohen and company handle this. Because remember, they're also dealing with another situation as well, and that's with Tahad Pettiford, who, 3 days ago was pulled over, charged with DUI as well. So
he sent the Auburn fan base a long apology. Tahad.
Yes, he did.
In the mistake that he made. Now, I think his situation is a little,
No, it is.
It's serious, no question. But Malcolm Simmons is a different, I think, set of circumstances. Because luckily, Tahad, while he endangered some people, nobody got hurt. There was no, accident. There was no injuries or anything like that. But with Malcolm Simmons, that's a blow right now for Auburn, because he was probably in that top 3 with Eric Singleton and Cam Coleman, and as far as the wide receiver group. And now, probably facing at least a suspension. And what if you don't have him against Baylor, Scott? Because we talked about what a big game that is for Auburn.
Yes. Last season, 451 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was and is expected. We're going to say is for right now, because at the moment, he is still with the program. I imagine later today we will find out more on the situation with Malcolm Simmons, but as of right now, he is with the program. Do we anticipate that to change? Possibly so, but 40 passes, 451 yards, 3 touchdowns last year as a true freshman. And as you mentioned, he is expected and possibly expected to be a starter for this Auburn team when they travel to Baylor. And that was one thing when Auburn was traveling through here, through the car wash, Hugh Freeze and company, when they were going through Jackson Arnold, the one thing that was brought up the most was just how big that Baylor season opener is for the Auburn Tigers.
It is. You're trying to set the tone for your season and for a big year for Hugh Freeze, who's felt some heat this year, no question about it, this offseason. 2 really good recruiting classes, done a heck of a job, done a good job in the portal, but we haven't seen the fruits of the labor so far. Auburn let a bunch of games get away from them a year ago, which was tough. I mean, they really could have had an 8-9 win season, and then the expectations would be higher going into this year. It would be college football playoff, trying to win the SEC championship.
Right.
But right now, while some believe Auburn could make that quantum leap, I think my expectations are 8 to 9 wins. You get back to that level where you're not quite a college football playoff team, but that you're definitely on that track, and you get to postseason play, get to a bowl game, win it. They haven't won one, since 2018. So you've got to do that. You've got to get back to being a postseason program and continue to build. And a step forward for this Auburn team in Hugh Freeze's 3rd year, to me, would be doing that, going at worst 8-4. Otherwise, if you're 7-5, you may have been swept by Georgia and Alabama potentially. And if you were, then your seat's going to be scorching hot. Now, some even believe he could be dismissed if he loses both those games and goes 7-5. I don't. I think he would return for year 4,
Okay.
but he would certainly be on the short list of hot seat coaches.
Well, I tell you what, don't forget, you need to send in your preseason All-SEC prediction order by 5 o'clock today. So make sure you put that in there. Make sure I want to remind you to get your preseason SEC order of finish in, your predicted order of finish.
What's that again?
You have to get in your predicted order of finish.
I didn't last year.
But you have said, though, you think Alabama. You think Alabama can get to Atlanta. You do.
And I mean, I can pick a preseason team poll, but it's this garbage.
That's all I'm saying. You need to put.
You can't just send in that. You have to send in the whole damn thing.
You don't want to pick. You don't want to pick 2 centers.
Well, if I did, it would be that we wouldn't leave the state of Alabama, be Parker Brailsford and Connor Lundgren, a.k.a. Connor Lou.
Oh, well, okay. 7:30. Let's get a break in. Talking Ball live from the College Football Hall of Fame SEC Media Days, final days rolling on, courtesy of our good friends from Sportsman Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center. SEC Media Days here from the College Football Hall of Fame in downtown Atlanta. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond, welcome back. We've run it down. Missouri, Kentucky, Arkansas, Texas A&M, all yet to come here on the final day of SEC Media Days.
Yeah, and we're going to have a quick 10 with a guy that I met when he was at 103.7 The Buzz here.
Yeah.
That's always good when you make connections. And now he's got his own gig. And if you're a YouTube freak like I've become, and I love watching stuff, it's Inside Arkansas. If you want to know about the Razorbacks in every fashion, every sport, and then we're going to talk football right now, but John Neighbors, Andrew Ellis, Curtis Wilkerson, they do a great job. We got John Neighbors here on Digital Drive here live in Atlanta, Georgia. What's up, man?
Oh, just getting all excited and pumped up for Razorback football this upcoming season. So my energy is just fuming, I think, through the sound waves here. Can you guys feel it a little bit? Can you feel it?
Well, it's either that or you're just so excited it's day 4 and there's no day 5.
That's probably more what it's about.
And your team's going in the afternoon on day 4.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, you know what, though? That's a day that's usually reserved. I'm not trying to be ugly, but it's a day that's usually reserved for Vanderbilt.
Yeah. Well,
but
look, we know coming into this media days, Sam Pittman's seat's probably the hottest in the league. We all love him, though. Everybody loves his candor. I love interacting with him in the main media room. He always tells the truth. What is the expectation for Arkansas football going into the season for Coach Pittman?
I mean, it sounds terrible, but if they made a bowl game, I would be impressed. And I hate being that way, and it's not something that people are accepting of in Arkansas. It's not like they're just, oh, man, if we make a bowl game, that'd be great. A lot of Razorback fans wanted him gone after last year, a lot of them. And they felt like when it didn't happen, they felt like the administration and Hunter Yurchek, the AD, that's not like he put out a statement being like, we believe in Sam Pittman. It came across as almost, we don't want to spend money on buyouts, so we're just going to ride this out another year. That's the way it came across, and it made fans really feel like, man, if you there in the athletic department aren't going in on trying to win and win now, what's the point of us getting excited? What's the point of us being here? And I feel for Sam Pittman in some ways. I mean, it's a performance-based business. You got to win. But I also feel like the administration didn't really set him up for success the way maybe they should have when it comes to NIL, when it comes to the support system that they have. So it's just a really weird, awkward situation in Arkansas right now.
So if you say happy they get to a bowl game, is that talent level deficiency? Is it coaching deficiency? Is it a little bit of both that would prevent them from being better than just possibly getting to a bowl?
Well, last year they went 6-6, just barely made a bowl game. They won 3 conference games against Auburn, Mississippi State, and of course Tennessee for some reason. How about that?
Yeah. With a backup quarterback.
Yes, with the backup quarterback. So you went 6-6 last year. This year, the schedule in the SEC is flipped, and they just happen to play road games against Ole Miss, LSU, Tennessee, and Texas. So, that's pretty easy. In the non-conference, you play Notre Dame. I don't know if you guys knew.
Oh, yeah.
They were in
Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Marcus Freeman, Notre Dame.
Yeah, that's right. And then some reason someone scheduled a game at Memphis. No clue why. So it's a really crazy thing where this team, in a way, because they lost a lot of players to the transfer portal, they could be better, but the record be worse because of the schedule and how brutal it is.
I'll be honest with you. That's the toughest schedule. That's like Florida level the last 2 years. This schedule for Arkansas this year. And I know Coach Sark even gave him a compliment, said he whipped my ass the first year. And, that was that's probably Coach Pittman's best win at Arkansas.
Yep.
But, I mean, that is a brutal schedule, John.
I mean, I just look at it and I try to wonder if you could. It just seems like a tale all the time where Arkansas is always having the toughest schedule. And I'm going to keep calling them out because I like trolling them a little bit, but like Missouri's schedule. I look at that and I'm like, if Arkansas had that schedule, I'd be coming in here being like, man, 8 wins, 9 wins.
Yeah.
But it's just the luck of the draw sometimes. And I love having those big marquee matchups like Notre Dame. It's a home and home. Arkansas was supposed to play them in Notre Dame in 2020, but COVID happened. Now they're playing them in 2029. So I'm good with that. But like, the road game in Memphis, why are we doing that? And also the road SEC schedule, like last year was great for the home schedule. But then I started looking, I was like, geez, you're playing 4 college football playoff contenders on the road this year. So it doesn't make any sense. It kind of is unfortunate because, not making any excuses, but man, it'd be so different for Pittman if he had some help on the scheduling throughout his tenure than maybe just always having the most difficult schedule.
We'd make it easier. We could schedule a 9th conference game.
Oh,
I mean, I'd be all for that, to be honest.
Really?
I would. Because it just – Arkansas, for instance, I'm not hating on all the other programs, but let's just be real about this, okay? Arkansas hasn't played Vanderbilt in 7 years.
that's amazing.
Arkansas hasn't played Kentucky in 8 years. They haven't played, obviously, Oklahoma since joining the conference. They played South Carolina in 2022, and they won that game. But my point is that it would be nice to just have that extra game instead of having, always because Arkansas plays Utah next year on the road.
Weird,
just weird stuff. So if they were able to take away that, but then add in another conference game, it at least makes it a little bit more easy to understand, to navigate, and to get ready for Arkansas's sake.
Well, and so many people advocate with the football success and the athletic director. But Yurachek pulled off John Calipari. The first year was bumpy, but they finished strong. Mm-hmm. And the recruiting is going very, very well, which is to be expected. A lot of high expectations. We know how good Dave Van Horn is. He's on the list you don't want to be on, the best to not win it. But I think it's going to – I really do. Just keep chopping.
Yeah.
I think it's going to happen.
Yeah, because Omaha's been fun for us.
Yeah, I mean, I watched that show. I God bless y'all, man. I don't know how you did it, because it kind of felt like when Scott and I had to do the aftermath of 2021 Georgia and Alabama. I feel for you, man, because I was watching that game and I was just – yeah. And so because I love Dave Van Horn. I think he's great for the game. I want him to win one. But is his future tied to Pittman, or is he in a good spot?
He's not in a good spot. I mean, really? There is – and I'm just being honest about this.
Yeah.
He has lost a lot of trust from the Razorback fan base. And there's been a lot of things. His lack of communication and transparency, his lack of NIL for thinking as cost. Because let's be honest, John Calipari is at Arkansas because of John Tyson.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That has nothing to do with Yurachek.
Right.
We can sit here and pretend that it's because of John Tyson. And Dave Van Horn has so many connections within the state of Arkansas that it's like, people are going to help him out regardless of who the AD is. But it is tied with Pittman because Yurachek chose not to fire him this past year.
Good point.
And it's kind of in a weird way the similar deal with Jeff Long and Brett Bielema when they were going on in Arkansas. They got fired really at the same time because the people wanted Brett gone. And Jeff's like, no, I want to keep him. And he gets one more year. Or the next year they go 4-8. And they're like, all right, you're done. You're out. So I think it's tied there. There's just been some toxic situations with coaches and Yurachek since being there. And I just believe that when we're sitting here next year at SEC Radio Road, Digital Road, Drive, whatever, there's going to be a completely different administration and a completely different football coach is my
Wow.
So are they backing? So is Yurachek then saying, okay, we're going to do everything possible then to make Sam Pittman a winner? We're going to give him NIL money that he can use. We're going to give him every resource possible. Or at the same time, are they handcuffing him to limitations?
They handcuffed him. I mean, that's where I say I feel bad for him because, this whole thing with Pittman and I think even Yurachek kept talking about revenue sharing. Revenue sharing happens. And I remember they kept saying that like after the season ended, and I'm sitting there like, okay, but everyone's going to have the same amount of revenue share. It's not going to be this magic thing. And I don't know if it's in their mind they truly think that in college sports and college football, everyone's just going to be like, hey, $20.5 million. Do you think maybe they think that John Calipari is going to say, hey, Johnny Tyson, man, we appreciate all the money you were giving us for NIL, but we don't need your dollars anymore. Like, do we really think that's going to happen? No. And so it just felt like there's just no aggressiveness to it. And Arkansas lost some of their best players off their football team last year to the portal. And they're all playing in other SEC schools. They lost 3 starters to Ole Miss. They lost a starter to Texas. They lost a starter to Kentucky. They lost 2 starters up to Michigan. And it's like, okay, if those guys are good enough to play at those places, they should be good enough to play at Arkansas. But because of lack of NIL and all of that, they done.
Final question, because I know you're very busy today. So obviously you're coming in with not high expectations. What are your thoughts on what do you think is going to happen for Arkansas this year in Pittman? The ceiling, anyway.
To me, if they make a bowl game, like I said, I'd be impressed. I really would. But to me, looking at the schedule and just doing looking at the assumptions of, okay, well, what this team is and where they're at and everything and the schedule that they have, I've been saying 5-7. You know,
5-7.
I mean, I want to be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. You know, I hope it's better than that. I hope they end up, wowing and shocking the world and being this year's South Carolina. You know, I really hope that's the case. But on paper, I just don't see where I can point to other than just Bobby Petrino and Taylor Green, which is great. But is that going to win you 6, 7, 8 games alone with this schedule?
Would the tone be different if they come out and beat Notre Dame early, and then would that give hope?
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, fans are wanting.
I would run around the block.
Yeah, I think a lot
I know you would. I know you would.
No, that would. It would make people feel like, okay, because it's in wait and see mode. They're like, hey, show me something. I'm tired of being hopeful. Show me something. And I think because they have Ole Miss early in the season too on the road, if they won that game and they won Notre Dame, then everyone's like, okay, like everything changes. But until it's something showed on the field and everything, then nobody's gonna buy into it and believe it. I mean, we're going to the 6th year of Sam Pittman. That's a long time for a coach in the SEC nowadays. So people are just, hey, we're not going to be hopeful. You show us something before we get excited.
Well, you've shown us a lot about Arkansas and continued success with Inside Arkansas. I love the channel. Going to keep looking at the content constantly. Thank you for the time, and we hope to reconnect soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for staying on Thursday for me. We appreciate it.
All right, let's get a short break in. When we come back, Nick Kelly going to join us. It's Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Final day's coverage of SEC Media Days inside the College Football Hall of Fame here in downtown Atlanta. Scott Tyson, Trudy Arman. It's been 3 days. See, we can't say the 4th day yet because we don't know what's going to materialize. But it's just been in one of these 3 days where Drew is status quo, I think, is the best way to describe it.
Except for Cologne.
Yes, we know.
And
we know.
Our next guest was there for that. He's been here all week. He even did our job for a day. And at their radio setup, their table for Alabama Media Group. And, of course, we're talking about the Sports Writer of the Year in the state of Alabama, Mizzou grad. And they're on First on Tap today.
Yes, they are.
Nick Kelly, how are you doing, sir?
Wow, what an introduction. I'm doing well, Drew. Good to be with you and Scott. And
see, no notes,
He does that all the time.
Impressive. Well, now that I got a little taste of what you do on Monday when I was interviewing some folks at our radio table, I know how hard it is. Even there's sometimes where I was like, wait a second, are they with this outlet, that outlet? Like, I mean, you guys deserve credit for
kind of
remembering the spot. So
yeah.
So Alabama yesterday. Your thoughts on Kalen DeBoer, what he had to say? And really, to me, no surprise. I think everything he said, he's kind of said in different ways leading into this.
Yeah, it was a lot of similar things. One thing he's talked about before, and I think he stressed yesterday, was the importance of continuity and familiarity. You can tell he values that, and for good reason. When you have those things, it tends to breed success, and it doesn't mean you're going to automatically win, but last year they had no continuity and no familiarity. So you have that this year, and I think that he's optimistic, similar to previous year twos. You look at what he did in year 2 at Washington, where he made the national championship game. That familiarity helps, and they know each other and they build trust, and you can get after guys a little bit more because they know that you have their best interests at heart. So you can tell that's important to him. But I also felt that he understands the pressure that he's under, and he understands the circumstance. Caden Proctor talked about it's been a long time since they've won a championship.
Right. Of
course, it's been 5 years. It's going to be 5 years this
5
year.
years. Yeah.
But in tied years without a championship, those are like dog years, pretty much. Let's be honest. So, I mean, this is the longest drought they've had since between Stallings in '92 and Saban in 2009.
Wow.
And now, of course, some folks who've been around longer than I have, and folks who've been around Alabama football for a long time, would say this is nothing. But Nick Saban kind of raised the standard to where there's an expectation that you're winning championships more often than not.
Okay.
He never went more than 3 years. So I felt that Caden said that obviously explicitly. That's been a long time, but you can tell Kalen feels that pressure as well.
Yeah, but I think it's a good pressure because the offseason to me has been, now we've seen a couple hiccups with Auburn in basketball and football in the last couple of days, but for Alabama so far, and this Kalen said yesterday, 2 weeks. Yesterday was 2 weeks to the opening practice. It's been a very status quo, calm. I think, and I think the first thing we saw that was a positive sign was the transfer portal in the spring. No one left. That was a lot of people made a big deal out of that. And then just the return of Ryan Grubb, which I know you've been all over that.
Yeah, I would argue, guys. So this is going to be my 5th season on the beat.
Okay.
I would argue that the Ryan Grubb addition, staff hire, transfer portal, is the biggest move that has happened for this program in my time. Now, that's not decades by any means, but I do think that it's a massive move. I think he's a difference maker, not only in that he can call elite plays, but what he brings overall to running the offense and running that room. I think it's going to pay huge dividends, and I've heard nothing but good things. So I cannot stress enough how big a deal it is to hire him. And I think most people know it's a big deal, but the fact that Nick Saban tried to hire him, then Kalen DeVore tried sort of, obviously he's bringing him with, and then he went to the Seahawks for a great opportunity there, but now he's got him back. I mean, Ryan Grubb is a difference maker. I think he'll be a head coach at some point, and him running the offense, I mean, he's one of the top play callers in college football.
And if it goes right, it's always going to be, though, is the narrative going to be, well, you know what? Nick Sheridan just couldn't get it done last year. We're better than with Nick Sheridan. Nick Sheridan, I think, did a decent job last year. Not maybe a great job, but he did a decent job with the offense.
Yeah, I was eager to see a second year of Nick Sheridan for the standpoint of what does he look like with a quarterback that maybe fits Alabama's system? And I say Alabama's system under Kalen DeVore better.
Right.
So I was eager to see that because I do think Nick Sheridan has a bright future, and I've heard a lot of good things about him from just the world of college football, and I think people feel that he's going to do big things in his career. But, yeah, when you get a chance to bring Ryan Grubb in, again, he's on that kind of Sark level of OC and makes a big difference.
That's why you and I are friends, because the first thing I thought
That's
about,
why.
You said it was the biggest in your time on the beat, and I equated it to I've been doing this 10 years for this station when Sark was rehired. And a lot of people, some were, what? I mean, he lost the national championship game in 2016, but much like Grubb, he'd gone to the NFL, and I thought done a solid job. I thought Grubb did a solid job, but then he comes back. First year, they do a nice job, but then that second year he was there, 2020. What year was that? That was the COVID year, but they also won the national championship.
I believe they didn't lose a game also, Drew.
Right. And
so pretty good year.
I mean, you could argue it's two of the back-to-back best offenses in college football history, LSU 2019, Alabama 2020.
I'd love to see those two teams go at it and play each other. And, man, those defenses pull onto your hats kind of deal. But, yeah, that 2020 national championship team, obviously fantastic offense. And Ryan Grubb is going to have a different offense. I actually asked Sark, just out of curiosity,
yeah, I talk about
what Ryan Grubb was going to bring, because Sark has coached against Ryan Grubb twice, first in the Alamo Bowl and then the CFP. And so not that he's coaching the defense, but he's overseeing the staff, and he obviously understands offense. And I thought it stood out to me that he said Ryan Grubb runs an attack style, pro style kind of offense. And I think that's going to bode really well for Ty Simpson. And I think it's going to bode really well for these stud receivers they have.
The time is different when we're talking about Alabama post Nick Saban, and we're talking all offense. I mean, usually it's the defense, because Nick Saban, defensive oriented. How good is this defense going to be? It's going to carry it. But this Alabama defense is that. It's veteran led. It's tough. It's a lot of mean guys on there. This defense could be a huge X factor for Alabama this fall.
Yeah, and that's, to me, I talk more about the offense because I don't worry as much about the defense.
Yeah.
I think Kane Womack has that group ready to go. And part of it is because they bring most of it back. And you have a ton of continuity. They only lost one coach on that side of the ball when they fired Colin Hitchler. So that's the only change that they have. And then you bring in a Tuscaloosa native and Jason Jones to work under Mo Linguist, who people speak highly of as well. So they've got a lot of continuity on that side of the ball. Then you've got some older guys. You've got a lot of talent in the secondary. I don't know how they're going to piece that secondary together in terms of who do you play and who gets what snaps and how many snaps. And I do think they will rotate. So it's not just, okay, these two starters are the guys all the time.
Right.
I do think if a guy's deserving of playing, I truly believe that they will rotate other people in to play with him. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see kind of how that works. But if I'm Kane Womack, I feel like I have an embarrassment of riches in that secondary.
Well, that's code for Dijon Lee and Ivan Taylor, really good young players. And then a guy that's been forgotten about, Nick, we interviewed his high school coach, is Cam Calhoun. People have kind of forgotten about him from Utah, and he's going to compete. But I just think the one thing I loved about Coach DeBoer and his staff last year, you bring up a great point, is they played a lot of guys, and I think that's why you didn't see a lot of portal departures, because they feel like they're getting reps.
Yeah, you're not keeping guys on the bench if you're not in the starting lineup. You're not atop the depth chart. You're going to play if you're deserving of it.
Right.
And to your point, Drew, that probably was code. I'm still even waking up, but I wasn't even trying to code it. But you're 100% right. It's Dijon Lee is a guy that I want to see how they can work him in.
Right.
Ivan Taylor, how do you work him in? Then another guy not to forget about is Zay Mincy in the secondary. I mean, how do you work him in? Yeah, I mean,
safety, yeah.
Yeah, and so you've got so many different options, so many different pieces you can use, and so they're going to be in great shape in the secondary. But my biggest question, though, guys, what does the pass rush look like? Because they have potential there, and I think LT Overton is going to be just fine. I mean, meaning that he's going to bring adequate pass rush at least, if not better. But who do they have opposite him? And Kalen talked about that a little bit yesterday. But to me, I'm looking for a potential breakout from McQuay Rousseau. He might be able to do that. But they've got other options too. So I think it's going to be really key for them to have not just LT Overton, but at least someone else that defense or offenses have to worry about.
Well, and I think it's clear on the whole picture. And you listen to Kalen DeBoer talk about missed opportunities in games, possession here, possession there. That 9 wins is not enough. That he understands and he wants more, but the whole 9-win thing wasn't acceptable to him last year.
No, and no, not only was it unacceptable to Kalen, that's not acceptable to Alabama fans. I mean, 9 wins is great for a lot of teams, not in Tuscaloosa.
That's a great way to end it. Great job. Let everybody know how to connect with you, Nick. Sports Writer of the Year. Congratulations again.
Again, yes.
Thank you, guys. AL.com, @_Nick Kelly on Twitter, and yeah, just love to chat ball on all platforms.
That's what we're here for.
Thank you, sir. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thanks,
all
guys.
right, hour 1 is done. When we come back, Eli Drinkwitz. We're going to check in with him as he is live to kick things off here on the final day of SEC Media Days. Missouri head coach Eli Drinkwitz. We're going to hear from him again. Be about 35 minutes or so. We're going to let you hear the preview for the Missouri Tigers for 2025. Now, coming up later today, Mark Stoops will join the party. 9:50 is when Mark Stoops will take to the podium. So you'll be able to hear everything that the Kentucky head coach has to say. We've talked about the Arkansas Razorbacks and Sam Pittman, just how much of a hot seat we believe the Arkansas head coach is on, and he will be at high noon this afternoon. And then at 1:45 to wrap everything up, Texas A&M head coach Mike Elko will make the round. So Missouri, Kentucky, Arkansas, and Texas A&M coming your way here on the final day of SEC Football Media Days. And here are the housekeeping notes. We let you listen to the housekeeping notes. How about one last time we listen to the housekeeping notes here from the Media Days?
6 p.m. That time we would ask you to vacate the room so they can prepare for the next event. And lunch will be served again today, 11.
So there they go. So there is. So 6 o'clock, we were told that they were going to have a deadline. So SEC Media Days, they let you kind of hang around. You work as long as you need. But the conference this year has put basically a limitation on how long we can stay here. So 6 o'clock is when we have to be out of the building. But I guarantee you we will be long gone by 6 o'clock. Again, we are just waiting on the commissioner.
Get to the Q&A portion of the program. If you'll raise your hand, we'll get a microphone to you. Ask that you give your name and affiliation, and we will go from there.
Just waiting on Commissioner Greg Sankey to walk up to the podium and do his little introduction. He does this, and I tell you, this is something the commissioner takes great pride in. And by the way, Drew and I will sit down with the commissioner here in a couple hours, and we're going to let you hear everything that the commissioner tells us tomorrow. So we're going to record an interview with Greg Sankey, and you'll be able to hear that tomorrow.
You're welcome to work in this main media room until 8 o'clock Eastern.
And so, and don't
Scott,
forget,
just letting you know, there is a packed house in the main room right
well,
now.
you know what? Oh, here's the thing, and we've said this from the very beginning that basically this year's SEC Football Media Days are in two different locations. So we are here inside the College Football Hall of Fame. There is a whole nother setup inside the Omni Hotel. Normally, in the past, when we have these media days, everybody is around everybody. So the TV media, all the electronic media, and the radio and newspaper, you're all in one area. This year, we are spread out. So we are inside the College Football Hall of Fame. You have to walk, I don't know, maybe 800 yards to the Omni Hotel, go in there, and then there is a whole nother setup inside the Omni Hotel. So it kind of cuts down the attendance on a lot of these press conferences that we see inside the main room, because we're all kind of split. And there's, I don't know, 1,100 credentialed media members probably here at SEC Media Days, and so just draw that in half, or we're kind of split. So
yeah, and Drew walked in, and as he was walking in, they did the live shot on SEC Network, and I think he may have doubled the attendance right then. Yeah.
Well, and I will say this: there has been several media outlets that, at the conclusion of yesterday, they packed their stuff up and they went home. There has been several media outlets that have come in. Our good friend Vince Ferrara from who works in Knoxville just came down for the day of Tennessee this year and then drove back that night. So there have been several media outlets that have come just for the day. Now, we've been here the entire time. All right, let's turn it over to SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey as he gets ready to introduce Missouri head coach Eli Drinkwitz.
2023 SEC Coach of the Year honors. He last coached in 12 bowl games, mentored 55 student athletes to all conference honors, developed 7 All-Americans, and worked with 19 NFL draft picks.
He broke Dan Devine's school record for most wins in the first 5 seasons as a Missouri head football coach, and he already ranks tied for 6th all-time in program wins. He and his wife have 4 daughters and spent time this spring and summer helping coach his daughter's softball team. I'm told the press conferences after each softball game were interesting. In May, he took coaches and players to Harmon's, Jamaica for a service trip, built a house, built a foundation for a future home, and built an addition to the Harmon's Health Center. Among his travel this year, and I noted this on social media, he and his wife, Lindsay, spent time at the Kentucky Derby. So you can ask him about his success attending that event. Welcome to the podium, the head coach of the University of Missouri, Eli Drinkwitz.
Well, we got the right fight song. It's improvement. Reminds me a little bit of Disney. Just got back from Disney with the family. And I was going to say that fight song reminded me of Disney because they play it. If you didn't know that Walt Disney was born in Marceline, Missouri. But really, y'all remind me a little bit of Disney World. Tired, ready to go home. Tired of coaches whining up here. So good morning to everyone. You know, I was very excited about the opportunity to come to SEC Media Days, which marks the end of vacation season, which is one of the 2 main reasons that I coach college football, free gear and vacations. And now it's on to football season. And based on what I've heard from the rest of the SEC coaches, it looks to be a really, really exciting upcoming football season and incredibly tough competition throughout. I was sent a text message the other day by one of my good friends that said, "What a privilege it is to be exhausted by a challenge you choose for yourself." And that's something I think about a lot when we talk about college football and college athletics. We choose to do this. I'm blessed to be the head football coach and incredibly proud of the opportunity to serve the great state of Missouri as the head football coach of the University of Missouri. To represent the 6 million people who live in our state, it's an incredible privilege and opportunity. Very appreciative of the support of our board of curators led by chairman of the board, Todd Graves. We got an incredible leader and president and chancellor and Dr. Moon Choi. Our athletic director, Laird Veach, empowers us to be the best football program that we can be. And it's just an honor and a privilege for our family to call Missouri home, and we're blessed to be here. I'm really proud of the football team we will field this fall. You know, we've got 38 new scholarship players. 21 of them came from the transfer portal, 17 from high school. And so, you know, we've built a roster to compete this season. We valued production over potential, and we have 20 players on the defensive side of the ball who have started more than 1 game in their college career. We've got 12 players on offense who have multiple starts in their collegiate career, and then we've got 3 on special teams. Our 3 representatives today have 85 combined starts among them, and that's Connor Tollison, Dalen Carnell, and Zion Young. Those guys, Commissioner Sankey mentioned it, you know, those 3 young men are juniors and seniors, 41 of them, 41 of our players and 15 staff members. We went on a service trip to the mountains of Jamaica in May. We are blessed to be a blessing, and that's something that as a program we want to live by. We want to use the platform and the opportunities that we have to impact and empower communities. We wanted to go and serve, and that's exactly what we did. We spent 4 days building a home, building a bathroom, repairing 3 roofs, adding a room to the medical center there. We built a home for a single mother with 3 kids. And it was an awesome opportunity to spread hope throughout the community of Harmons. You know, they didn't care that we were football players. There was one night where we got to we divided up into groups of 3 and 4, and we went and had meals in people's homes to get to know the community. And they had no idea really, when we talked about football, they thought we were talking about soccer. They didn't care about Americana football. What they cared is that we cared about being an impact to their community. And it was something that was really eye-opening. They just appreciated enough that we would show up. We wanted to have an impact on them, but in truth, they had more of an impact on us. And I don't know, maybe it was the lack of air conditioning. Maybe it was the 1 2-minute cold shower that you could have. Maybe it was trying to put 41 guys in bunk beds. Maybe it was the fact that water is very scarce in Harmons and that most people don't actually have running water in that community. But it changed us, and it made us different. And it made us realize that we're very thankful for the opportunities that we have. I'm very thankful to be at the head football coach at the University of Missouri. I'm very thankful for the ability to do this, and I know our players are too. So with that, I know there's a lot of burning questions in this room by the 14 of y'all that showed up. But just as a reminder, I'm not going to answer any questions about the Epstein files, whether about the radiation belt, and whether or not it was possible for Lee Harvey Oswald to get 3 shots off in 7 seconds. I don't have time to answer all those questions. But I will answer questions about Mizzou football. And I would be remiss if I didn't say Bob Holt was a graduate of the Missouri School of Journalism, and we miss him today, and we think about him often. And so with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Coach, we'll try to find some questions on some other topics over here. So Molly Ann, Holly, Olivia have microphones. Coach, we'll start right here in the center aisle.
Hey, Coach. Emily Grace McWhorter from the Next Round. You share with local media that you expect Sam Horn to remain with your team despite being drafted by the Dodgers this past Monday.
Yeah.
Can you share what y'all's conversations were this past week, kind of leading up to this, and what the game plan was for you guys?
Yeah. First off, congratulations to Sam, Jim, and Beth. What an awesome accomplishment, awesome opportunity for that young man to be that good of an athlete, to be able to play. I think he threw 15 innings this year and really had an outstanding season. We're so proud of him to be able to compete in 2 sports. But Sam has been adamant this whole time that his goal is to compete to try to win the job in the SEC and play quarterback at the highest level. I've had conversation with his representatives in whether that was last year as he was going through his Tommy John's surgery or the rehab process, going through spring, and that really hasn't changed. We had discussed it. Sam had relayed the message. His agent had relayed the message to all the baseball organizations that he was going to play football this fall, and so nothing's changed. I called him the day of the draft to make sure he was having a draft party. I called him after he got drafted, and I told him, the day after the day he got drafted, was proud of him, and I'd see him at 6:30 at workouts in the morning.
Which will go in the section straight in front of me in the 3rd row. Right.
Morning, Coach. Nick Laza from KCOU in Columbia. You just mentioned it a couple minutes ago, 21 transfers you brought in. How do you create a culture and a chemistry with such roster turnover, especially among the upperclassmen?
Yeah, I think that was part of the reason we decided to take the mission trip to Harmons. Nothing creates cohesion and builds trust and respect like shared adversity and putting people in adverse situations and see how they'll respond. There's really nothing more adverse than putting 300-pound offensive linemen, defensive linemen in the SEC in bunk beds with no air conditioning. And so, I think that was one of the ways. Obviously, our coach, Ryan Russell, our Elite Edge program on the first floor, is a conduit of our culture and continually teaches and preaches that. And then, you got guys like Connor Tollison and Dalen Carnell who've been here their entire careers. They know what it looks like. They know what the standards are and what to uphold them to. And I think our staff combined with our strength staff and then, again, shared adversity helps create cohesion.
Coach, we're going to go right down here on our front right.
Coach, JD Zazen, WVUA 23. This year, Missouri gets to renew a rivalry with Kansas. You get them at home this year. How excited are you as Missouri and the fans of Missouri to renew that rivalry with Kansas?
Yeah, I think rivalries are a great thing for college athletics and college football, particularly, especially regional rivalries. This one goes back a long ways. The origins of our football name, the Tigers, is based off the militia that was formed protect Columbia from people from Kansas and the Kansas area. So, this is something that goes back a long way. It's very deep, and it's something that our team is very keenly aware of. We understand the implications, the importance to our state, and look forward to playing that game, especially having it at home.
This will go down the center aisle. Drew.
Coach Drew DeArmond, WCCN Radio, Huntsville, Alabama. I wanted to talk about one of your transfer portal additions, and you talked about production. Early in his career, especially at Arkansas, is one of the best, I think, safeties in the country. Talk about adding Jalen Catalon. What does he bring to Corey Batoon's defense, and what kind of impact could he make for you as an experienced player?
Yeah, Jalen Catalon's a guy that played against us in 2020 during COVID year. He didn't play in the first half because of a targeting penalty. And, man, he came on and was an elite player and has been an elite player for a long time. Coach Saban, all summer, he calls and does scouting reports with all the head coaches, not to get back into coaching. Just want to clear that up for Greg McElroy. But he does that to make sure he has the edge on the competition. And the first person he asked about was Jalen Catalon, because he said, man, that guy's played a lot of really good football at a high level. And you could see that in the spring, the instinctual. He's got great instincts. He understands, diagnoses what offenses are trying to do. He's got a knack for finding the football in the air. He's really good at blitzing. We play a lot of single high defense and use that safety to insert, which is something that Jalen can really do. And we're very excited about what he brings to that room. We lost a lot of career starts with Joseph Charleston, and so we needed somebody in that back end. Communication is so vital in that position, and so very, very proud and excited about JC and what he's going to bring to our football team. He's been awesome. Got a chance really there were several days I got to work specifically with him in Harmons, and man, that guy is a workhorse. Just set the tone all day. One of the days we had to make concrete, and the toughest job is you're in the house. We'll put all the cement in there, and we have to hand bucket. You have to bucket water up there and throw it, and he's in there just stirring it. And most of the time, people do that for 30 minutes and they have to tap out. He did it for 6 straight hours, and he's incredibly tough, and very proud of him.
Coach, we'll go over here to our left, second row. Tom.
Hey, Coach. Tom Murphy, Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Thanks for the words about Bob.
Yeah.
You mentioned during your opening about coaches whining up here. Yeah. I'm wondering if that's about transfer portal, caps, or what. And if not, what was it about?
No, it's not. It wasn't here. It's just in general. I just go back to, again, what a privilege it is to be exhausted by a challenge you choose for yourself. We all choose to coach here.
What are
we
your
all
thoughts
choose
on those topics, though?
They are what they are. Since I've been in college football, we've had COVID, NIL, transfer portal, 8 or 9 game schedule. We've been debating that for 5 years. So, it is what it is.
Coach, we're going to go on this near aisle, Barry.
Yeah, Barry Trammell, Tulsa World. The SEC, 15 years, won a bunch of national titles. Everybody in the league seemed to benefit from that. Now the Big Ten's won 2 in a row. How important is it for the SEC to get back to the top?
Define the top as in number of draft picks in the NFL, top is in most viewership, top is in overall, top is the deepest conference in college football. We haven't been. I heard that last night. Well, they haven't won the national championship in the last 2 years. I don't know, what was it, the previous 10, 14? So look, the more teams you add to the tournament, there's greater variance to it. I don't necessarily think that we're that far off. I don't think that there's any more pressure. You've got 16 of the toughest competitors in the world who are head coaches in this league. We're all driven to achieve the best, whether that's internally or externally. We feel pressure to achieve that, but there's no pressure because, we got to do it for the SEC. We want to do it for our team, our players, our fans. So,
Coach, we'll go over here to the left section. We'll start right up here in the 4th row. Go ahead.
Coach Ryan Shapiro, Texas Sport Network. Can you tell me a little bit about the quarterback battle going on this offseason between Prabula and Sam Horn?
Yeah, we got three quarterbacks, all a little bit different, all with some very good strengths. Obviously, Sam Horn's a guy who's been in our system for a long time, dual threat player, obviously plays baseball at a high level, is coming back from Tommy John surgery. I thought he had an outstanding bowl prep as he was rehabbing that and really a really good spring. And has really excelled in his maturation. One thing most people don't know about Sam, he's a type 1 diabetic. And so he's been able to, since he's been in college, been able to learn to adapt and train and develop and adjust. And he's really done a lot of good things, understands the system. Bo came in with the right mindset, nothing given, everything earned. Works extremely hard, developing his craft. He's a guy who spends a lot of extra time up there, has a chip on his shoulder, the right kind of chip, does a really good job leadership-wise. He was a guy that I got to work with a couple of days at Harmon's, and I'm just impressed with his ability to connect with our team. Matt Zollers, he throws it as well as any quarterback I've ever seen. He's coming back from an ankle surgery. You can tell he's adjusting to the speed of college football, but very excited about that room and know whoever ends up emerging as the quarterback is going to be in a really good position because he doesn't have to do it all by himself. He's going to have a really good defense. He's got a great supporting cast around him.
Okay, we're going to go to the back of this left section over towards that.
Coach Chris Marler, LouisianaSports.net. You've had a back finish in the top 5 in conference in rushing yards in 4 of the last 5 years. So what are the expectations and what is the ceiling for Ahmad Hardy this year? And also, I know we brought up the Kansas game earlier and how excited you are for it. That morning, what's going to be the go-to flavor of Celsius that you open to get the day started?
Yeah, I'm kind of off Celsius right now. So it'd definitely be a Diet Mountain Dew, cup of coffee, and then we'll see what the day brings. Ahmad Hardy, man, what a great young man. I think one of the coolest things about him is I knew Brian Vincent. Brian and I have a relationship dating back to our time when I was at App State and he was at UAB and learning the outside zone. So it was awesome to be able to call him and say, okay, what are his strengths? What are his weaknesses? What's his feel for this scheme? And what could not be any more complimentary of Ahmad Hardy. And, Ahmad's he's an outstanding young man. He's a heck of a horseman. Dude loves horses, rides horses. He's gotten Kevin Coleman on the back of a couple of horses. He loves to go fish. Him and Santana Banner go fishing all the time. In fact, went fishing in the community pond there in Bluff Creek. Had to apologize to my homeowners association about that, but they caught a lot of fish. Really excited about that young man. He's got great burst, understands the scheme and how to run it. So very proud of him.
Coach, we'll go near aisle, 4th row, Pat.
Pat 40, Sports Illustrated.
Missouri journalism grad.
There you go. Since it's only been 5 years of your time talking about 8 versus 9, where do you stand on that, and what do you think of a 5+11 potential playoff format?
Needed something to talk about, huh, Pat? I'll start with the 12, 14, 16 playoff, whatever. This is not going to do me any favors with our commissioner. When I think about college football right now and think about what do we need to do, I think it really comes down to 2 things: what's best for our players and what's best for our fans. The rest of us are really only important because of the players and the fans. And so when you think about whether it's 12, 14, or 16, to me, if we've decided to go into this expansion of playoffs and we're trying to follow an NFL model, well, the NFL takes 44% of their teams into the playoffs to increase the passion or keep the fan base engaged. If we're talking about 12, that's 9%. If we're talking about 14, that's 11%. If we're talking about 16, that's 12%. That's really not changing the math for the fan base. So I really don't understand what the big fight is about. The other thing I don't really understand about this, we have a lot of complaints. Whether we're talking about 68 teams in the NCAA basketball tournament, we're complaining about the committee. And now last year we complained about the committee selections. I mean, we produced all kinds of stats and handed them out about why the SEC was so good. Well, the problem is we have a human committee that has no standard set of structure of how they're going to select. They're all human beings. They all have implicit bias. So now we're going to go from 7 to 11, and we think that's going to solve the problem. Until we figure out what exactly the standards are, I don't think that's good. In my viewpoint of it, I think we should go back and try to find more ways to include teams. How do we get more people involved? Because that's better for the players. That's better for the player experience to have more people involved in the potential to play for a championship. And it's better for the fan bases. I think we all would agree that the 4 college football playoff games at home campuses was a huge win for college football. We need to expand that opportunity, that energy and excitement. So my math could be wrong here, but if we did the 12, okay, and you had 4 automatic qualifiers. Everybody thinks that's limiting. It's not limiting if you think about it from, you take those 4 automatic qualifiers and you divide that up into 8 opportunities of 8 play-in games. So now you're taking the SEC's playing in for 8, you're taking the Big Ten's playing in for 8. Since we've expanded the bubble to 16, give 3 to the 3 to the Big 12, 3 to the ACC, 1. Now you've got 30 teams. 30 teams. Now we're talking about an opportunity for 30 teams, 30 fan bases to be excited and engaged in giving revenue. Got 30 teams with players who have access to compete for a championship. And so for me, I think that makes a lot more sense. Again, when you're talking about the NFL playoff system, not only is it 14 teams, but you only have to be the best out of your 4-team division. So you got to compete against 4 teams in order to make the playoffs. Again, when you're at the University of Missouri, if you say, hey, you just have to finish in the top 8 to have a chance to play in the playoffs, that's a win every day. And I'm all for that. I think that's awesome. 8 versus 9. Honestly, I think I've been for the 9 game. I think if it was about players and about fans, I think it's a 9-game schedule for the SEC. If it's about coach preservation, which, hey, man, I get it, but if we're going to go to 11 humans deciding on a committee which are the 11 best teams, and we stay at 8, we ain't getting in.
Right,
there you go, Pat. There you go.
Coach, we'll go over the left-hand side on the far aisle.
Connor O'Gara, Saturday Down South. Eli, I know Bo recruiting him had to be a really unique experience for you, how aggressive you had to be. His sample size is so unique. He only had 4 passes that were 20 yards downfield last year. Can you take us through the process of evaluating him as a passer? And if you don't want to answer that, I'd love your take on Lee Harvey Oswald.
I don't even know much about the JFK deal. I was literally at breakfast yesterday and Rick Jones brought that up. I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about, Rick. Bo Prabula, when we first talk about recruits, it's all about the right fit for us, focused, intangibles, talented, and tough. And when you talk about the quarterback position, there's 5 specific traits that we're looking for. Bo had those traits. And then as a program, and as an offense, you have to design to a quarterback's strength. I don't think, when you watch the tape, there's not an inability for Bo to throw. He just didn't quite have the opportunities. And I would say after this spring, I'm as confident as ever that Bo Prabula is a very talented passer. So I don't really have any reservations about that. Obviously, when you're recruiting out of the portal, it does happen fast. And, if you have somebody on campus, you have to close them pretty quickly. Bo, I will give a lot of credit to Bo and his maturity. He had a process that he wanted to go through. He wanted to see 3 different schools and then make a decision. And so, we made an impression. Quick story about Bo. We went at dinner that night. I drove him back to the hotel, dropped him off. We sat in the deal and talked for about 20 minutes. I dropped him off and I looked and he walked in, walked around. I dropped him off at the wrong hotel. So he come back out, get in the car. We had to go to the other one in town. So I'm not sure how much he thinks about my intelligence level, but it was good enough to get him to come play for us.
Coach, we're going to go back over here to our right-hand side.
What's up, Coach? Zach Sweet, Columbia, Missouri. You guys have won 21 games over the last 2 years, but nationally it seems like you might not have the respect as other SEC teams. I'm curious what goes into that, and if you could talk a little bit about something to prove mindset that you embraced in 2023.
Yeah, I kind of addressed this earlier with SEC this morning. If you get caught up, Coach Saban calls it rat poison. I think it's rat poison either way. Praise and blame are both the same. You really can't care about it either way. We have a something to prove mindset. There's all of us, whether you're talking about our coaching staff or players, we all have a little bit of a chip on our shoulder. But at the end of the day, in the fourth quarter, 2-minute drive, that's not what you think about. You think about your trust and belief in each other. You think about doing your job at a higher level. So you can use it as temporary motivation. But in the key moments, it's really more about your belief in each other. And that really is what drives us. It's our belief in our brotherhood. It's our belief in our Elite Edge program. It's our belief in our always compete mentality. It's the development of trust and respect that we have with each other. It's having fun while we're doing this. That really drives us in our success. And so other people's opinions, somebody asked me what the difference was over my 5 years being here. In the first couple of years, I really cared what y'all thought about me. Now I really don't. I don't care. I'm here to represent my family, my wife and my 4 beautiful daughters. I'm here to represent the University of Missouri and make our football team proud. And outside of that, I really don't care what anybody else thinks.
We have time for a couple more. We're going to start here about 5 rows back. Left.
Hey, Eli. Alex Miller from the Bryan College Station Eagle.
Yeah.
Do you have any conspiracy theories about Missouri football that you've debunked or are debunking?
What's that sign? There's no conspiracy theories, but there's also no such thing as coincidences. So there you go.
Okay, we'll stay over here in the left section, about 3/4 of the way back.
Hey, Coach Cole Thompson, SEC Unfiltered. You guys have 6 games at home. You don't leave the state of Missouri until October 18th.
Yep.
There's so many new players and transfer portal additions being added on in and new starters. How important is it for you guys to have that time to build the chemistry at home before you have to go play at Auburn, in Norman, and on the road to Fayetteville?
Yeah, we play at Nashville too, and with Diego Pavia, that ain't no joke. So let's make sure we give those guys the respect that Clark deserves for sure, and the program he's built. But appreciate Mark Womack helping us with that first 6 games at home there. Obviously, it gives a new quarterback an opportunity to settle in a friendly environment. And obviously, we've played pretty well at home. Our fans have done an incredible job since we've been there and developing that as a really home field advantage for us, and very appreciative of their support and believing in us. And obviously, when you turn us on TV, you're going to see a $250 million North End Zone complex that's being put up daily, and appreciate the work they've done there. The challenge for us, I didn't feel like last year, I feel like I let our team down by being unprepared to go to Texas A&M on the road. We were not, with the adjustment of the transfer portal and players, I don't think they understood the routine and what it was going to be, and we were a step slow and in just about everything we did, starting with me in the decision-making processes and our players. So we're going to have to do a good job in fall camp of making sure we're ready when the opportunity does to go on the road, make sure our players understand what that routine is going to look like. And so we've actually built something into our fall camp training plans to replicate and simulate a road game for 48 hours. And so we're going to do a really good job of embracing playing at home for the first 6, but also making sure we're prepared for that opportunity when we go to Jordan-Hare.
Coach, we're going to take one final question in the very back of
Make it good. Make it good.
Coach Rob Brown, SEC Sideline Sports Network, Memphis. We're Cardinals town. You've got that Cardinals nation. I've asked you about this before. You're building tremendous facilities at your football stadium.
Yep.
Nobody's asked about that, but y'all put maybe close to $200 million.
250.
That's a big deal. Let's talk about that. That's a serious commitment from Missouri. Says a lot about where your program's going, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's why I started off by thanking the 6 million residents of the state of Missouri by thanking Todd Graves, past chair Robin Winokur, Bob Blitz, Jeff Lehman, Michael Williams, a lot of different people, President Choi, a lot of big-time boosters. You're talking about Richard Miller, Mike Campeter, Steve Trulast. You're talking about the Bukowski brothers. You're talking about Jeff and Kara Cannon. You're talking about a lot of people who have committed a lot of resources to our university and believes the Stevens family. Since we've been there, we've invested in a brand new indoor facility. We've invested in a $250 million North End Zone project. They've invested in a weight room reconstruction, new grass fields. So they've done a lot to enhance the program and give us the ability to compete and attract talent. And that's what we've really tried to do. And now it's, again, I've put the pressure on our coaching staff this year. It's really about coaching. We as a coaching staff need to take on the ownership of this year's team about getting the best out of these guys, because we have a lot of talent, we have a lot of depth, but we got to bring it together and we got to bring the most out of them. So appreciate all y'all. Appreciate y'all late scragglers that got in here and filled up the room, and hope y'all finish strong today. MIZ.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you for your time.
And that was Eli Drinkowitz in the press conference with him, as Talking Ball is going to continue when we come back on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin'
days here from the College Football Hall of Fame. And you know what? When we started this morning at 8 a.m., we said, you know what? It's just been pretty vanilla the whole entire way. And we leave it till the final day.
Strawberry alert.
Yes. We leave it till the final day, and Eli Drinkwitz comes out and just says, you know what? I'm just going to heat this place up a little bit.
And you've been saying last day, best day.
Yes.
Last day, favorite guest.
Yes.
And he is host of the Josh Pate College Football Show. Josh Pate being able to join us on the radio row here at Digital Drive in Atlanta, Georgia. And the floor is yours, sir, Elijah Drinkwitz.
There are signs outside the Hall of Fame, you know, like the gun with the line through it. It's a gun-free zone. Nothing about a flamethrower.
Right.
you can bring that in. So let me get this straight, because I was sitting up here already, and I was hearing little bits and pieces, and you told me, hey, it sounds like he's more in favor of the Big Ten playoff model. And look, I'm in the minority apparently, but I actually agree with him. And so I said, I got one. And then you finished and you said, but he also said he'd love to expand to 30 teams. At which point I realized that's how those 24-hour marriages work. Married, divorced in 24 hours.
90-day fiance.
Well, he also went on to say that he favors a 9-game schedule.
Yeah.
He says if it's for the players and fans, it's a 9-game schedule. He says if it's for coach preservation, hey, I get it.
Yeah, I completely agree with him. Everything he said is accurate. I've also listened to Greg Sankey talk a lot about that this week. Here's the reality. A lot of times where there's a controversial issue, everyone wants to be able to summarize the issue and or the answer on like one of those little fortune cookie pieces of paper.
Yeah.
Or in one tweet to modernize the analogy. Well, that's really not the way it works. These are normally 10 layers deep. And what he's talking about is 10 layers deep. He's right. In isolation, you know, if you put it in a silo, I'd love 9 games too. Most people would love 9 games too. And then he kind of alluded to the fact that it's a little more layered than that. But this guy's crazy in a really good way, in a really, really good, like genius psycho kind of way. So we went up there last year. I'd never been to Missouri, the University of Missouri before. We went up there on the spring tour last year. I don't know that I had spoken to Drink in person before the trip. So it's not like we're best of friends reuniting. And I walked in and I spent the morning with him. And it was a lot of what you just heard from the podium. And then, you know, off camera, he's like some dude you grew up with. It's just your normal conversation, whatnot. And then that was a spring practice day for them. So his morning was open and they were going to practice in the afternoon. So he's wrapping up with me. We're about to leave about the time they're going to do practice because they do afternoon practices in the spring.
Right.
His team has a teaming as you normally do before practice.
Right.
And I am standing out there. I'm saying goodbye to him as he's got his whistle on. He's got his T-shirt. He's got his shorts. He's ready to go. He's got a practice schedule in his hand. He goes, hey, come talk to the team right quick.
Wow.
And I said,
this is great.
you mean when? This fall?
Yeah.
You want me to come by in the summer? He goes, no, just come give him a quick word.
Oh, wow.
So you walk in there and you, guys, I'm not saying me, but there are a lot of people out there who don't believe in you. So prove them wrong. You know, did the clench fist? Yeah.
Wow. He also opened up this morning, though, by saying, I'm not going to answer any questions about the Epstein files, the radiation belt, or how Lee Harvey Oswald was able to get 3 shots in 7 seconds.
Which is crazy because that's how I have my agent preface every trip I do on this show. That's the same guidance I've always sent you guys.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, then he got asked about
He
Lee
was
Harvey
on fire
again,
today.
and he said he didn't really know anything about it. He was asked about it yesterday.
Drew, you said something right before we came on air that I guess we need to say on air. Everybody who mentions that lead pack of teams or, you know, that group of teams they could see winning it, some people put Missouri in it, not a lot of people put Missouri in it. And if they do put Missouri in it, they say, I think Missouri could make it, but it's only because they have a softer schedule. So do you guys think that out of the people here, and these are people who cover the sport for a living, what percentage of these people do you think would know who Ahmad Hardy is, that running back transfer from ULM? I mean, the guy that'll be their feature back this year, I will virtually guarantee you if he's healthy, he's a 1,000-yard guy minimum in the SEC this year. Bo Prabula, they probably know because he's a quarterback. Right. But outside of that, I just don't think a lot of people know much about Missouri. That's kind of been a forever problem in the SEC, but especially this year. like they could really be a player this year.
Is it because of location, you think?
I think it's location and profile of brand. I think, look, if I threw the University of Georgia up there, but it was still Georgia, we wouldn't have an issue knowing who like Green is, their returning tackle, for instance. Yes, the schedule matters. Like, yes, that's part of it. That's part of the profile of breaking them down as a team. But man, he's so good. Like, Drinkwitz is so good.
I think he's the most underrated coach in the league.
I do too.
And you do a good job rating coaches. Your power rankings are great. So is that what your thought as well?
Well, think about this. So LSU was here Monday, which was an eternity ago. Yeah. All right, they're basing their entire hope on the second-year defensive staff they have. Blake Baker, Kevin People. Well, where do you think they went to get those guys? They went to Missouri to get them.
Great point.
So who had hired them when no one knew who they were? It was Eli Drinkwitz. And so he keeps getting players and keeps getting or hiring staffers that end up elevating immediately, and like they're counted on to be the bailout of the bigger programs. And I'm looking and saying, well, the value, like the instinct or the evaluation skill is not in, oh, Missouri's got good coaches, let's go hire him. It's in the fact that Missouri had him to begin with. It's in the fact that Eli Drinkwitz saw them before they shined on an SEC stage, before they cut their teeth and proved themselves with probably an undervalued roster relative to the big boys.
And I'm going to make another comparison here that reminds me of, because they haven't been as good since he left, but he was only there a year. But Appalachian State is a really good group of five job. He went 13-1 there, and it reminded me, and here's a comparison of when I saw Urban Meyer at Bowling Green.
Yeah. And then went out to Utah and did what he did, won everywhere.
And now he's doing, and that's similar to what Drink has done at Missouri, in my opinion.
So the other part of that is a lot of times people fool themselves into thinking when they go somewhere else, they have to emulate the way it's done there.
Right.
And in Missouri's case, if you're not of the right mentality, it would mean, well, once I'm the head coach at Missouri, it doesn't matter what I've done before. Now I'm an SEC head coach. Right. So I've got to do things the way the SEC does. And I'll tell you, the best parallel to Drink at Missouri is Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State.
That's a good point.
Because there are two guys, like, they'll make jokes publicly. They got a looser personality. That's not the important thing, because you could make a clown of yourself at media days and go 4-8. And then it's not funny anymore.
Right.
Or Kenny Dillingham, like he could joke around and he could talk about how terrible an athlete he was in high school. And well, if they go 4-8, it's not funny. It's funny because you win. It's funny because those two have won. They're winning not because they're looser personality guys, not because they're more relatable. It's because they are who they are. They really know football. All right, let's state that. But then also, they can make people buy into their way of doing things, and they don't adjust their program in a way that doesn't fit their personality. Like when Nick Saban was at Alabama, everything about Alabama felt like Nick Saban. Okay? That's a way to win. That's not the only way to win. Everything at Georgia feels like Kirby. That's a way to win. That's not the only way to win. Arizona State feels different, I'm telling you, than everything you would ever know about Georgia and Alabama, except at the end of the game, they have the larger number on the scoreboard, which is what matters the most. And that's kind of how Missouri feels that's how Missouri feels under Drink. And it's such a skill in being surrounded by all these really like legendary names, future legendary names in the coaching world. And you look at it and you say, you know what, I think I'm still going to be me.
Does the SEC right now, with all the teams that we have, all 16 teams, do they have a dominant team for college football this year, or do we have 6 or 7 really good teams?
I don't think there's a dominant team in college football. I don't think one will emerge either.
Really?
The roster that has the best shot to do it would be Texas. But having said that, I don't expect that. I think we're probably talking about a new norm in college football, period, by the way. We're not talking just about a 2025 thing. So that leads to a lot of competitive balance. Now, that doesn't mean Miami of Ohio has any better shot at winning a national title than they used to, but it does.
Poor Miami of Ohio.
Yeah, it does mean that when you come into a season, you guys know, because you've covered every one of them for a long time, especially in the Saban era, you came into media days, and it was, at the beginning, it was Saban and Meyer, so it was Bama, Florida, everybody else. Then it was Bama and everyone else preseason, I'm talking about. Then it was Bama, Georgia. If someone's going to challenge Bama, it's going to be Georgia. LSU had a year, 2019, but it was always either one or two teams and then a gap. And the whole conversation was, can anyone challenge them?
Yes.
So this year, I did an exercise the other day where they said, take every team that you think has at least a 15% chance of making it to Atlanta, and here's 1 through 16, draw the line beneath which those teams have a less than 15% chance of getting to Atlanta. I had 9 of them above the line.
Wow.
9.
So that just goes to show that either I'm insane or even if I'm just only partially insane, it still means we got a way more competitively balanced top of the SEC.
Right.
Well, and now, and what is that drink was great so far to get this 4th day kicked off. But what is the other thing you kind of took from the first 3 days? I know you've made the rounds here. You grind better than anyone. What is the top thing you heard that you've taken from it?
Well, there's no team to beat, which we just talked about. That's
right.
I think by 10 miles, that's the first and foremost. The second one is there is an alarming number of coaches, I would say this nationally, but especially in the SEC, whose seasons last year would be viewed as good, not great. And the fan bases are okay with it because they've convinced themselves last year was okay because it's leading to us taking the next step this year. All right. South Carolina is that. Florida is that. Alabama is that. Georgia won the league, but their fans still think they were down last year.
Oh, that's crazy.
All right. Texas A&M is that. LSU is that. Ole Miss is that. So I just listed half the league, if not more. There aren't enough wins to go around. So someone has a 7-5 coming. Someone has a 6-6 coming that really isn't like the 6-6 used to be, but it's going to be viewed that way. And you're going to have this completely warped perception and conversation around a really quality coach. I don't know who it's going to be, maybe multiple, but you're going to have this really weird conversation where we go from a guy not even being thought of as being on the hot seat to by the end of the year, not only is he on it, it's like burning hot. And you're going to look around, and this is my belief. I had Kublik on for like an hour yesterday, and we kind of bounced this around. It's still so early in this new era of college football. I don't think people have recalibrated their mentality to understand the days of 12-0, the days of putting a gap between you and the field are gone. It's like watching Talladega, and it's like watching the last 20 laps, and there's a pack of 10 cars.
Right.
They're all going 195, and you have no idea who's going to win. But the point is the difference between 1 and 7 is like a half a second or a quarter of a second. And so you can either look at it and say, wow, they're all bunched up together. It was a crapshoot to see who wins. Or you can say, wow, we finished 7th. We were nowhere close to number 1. No, that's not the way I think the league's structured this year. But someone's going to get their heart broken because I think too many people have the same expectation and there aren't enough wins to go around.
South Carolina
could easily be that. But I'm telling you, just as easily as South Carolina is that, who's to say Alabama automatically is better than 9-3? Who's to say that Florida automatically just continues to do this right here? I'm pointing my hand up because this is radio. Who's to say that all these transfer guys just automatically do bail LSU out and they really are that much better than last year? Who's to say that last year wasn't the peak for Kiffin at Ole Miss? Like, why is that automatically just like the prologue to what's to come? Last year couldn't have been the appetizer for everyone's main course. There's no way the math works out on that.
Well, you're making us think.
Yeah, that's
you're really making us
better you than me.
Wow.
Well, and one final thought: what about Hugh Freeze? Because we haven't really mentioned Auburn.
I think the conversation around him is completely fair. Not the golf stuff. I don't even concern myself with that. I mean, people who are saying he has to get the job done this year or he could lose his job, that's not unfair. It would be unfair if they were saying that in year 1. I would say it would be unfair even if they were saying it last year. But to give Auburn folks credit, they gave him runway. He asked for it, by the way. They gave it to him. Okay, now here's what else is fair about it. And I respect him in this vein. He came in here this week and he said, we should have high expectations. We ought to be competing for a playoff spot. I've got good enough players. There are no excuses, okay? I respect it. Also understand that tape doesn't disappear once the season starts. Those clips don't go anywhere. No one's deleting all of them. So in November, if it's 7-5, if it's 6-6, your own words get used against you. but it's fair because he's been given time, he's been given resource, he was given runway. He's not a guy, and this does happen out there, he's not a guy who's being asked to do something that his peers are doing, but he's being handcuffed and not being given what his peers have been given.
That runway's a lot shorter for coaches now, right?
It is shorter, but you're given 3 years at a major program in modern college football. Guys, I was talking to Barry Odom the other day, who's the head coach at Purdue. He said, I'll have 105 on my roster. 83 of them are new. I was talking to Rich Rodriguez the other day. He said, out of my 105, 71 were not here last year.
71
and 83 out of 105. Okay, so if we're in an era where theoretically you can do that,
right,
no one's going to give you 4 years, nor should they. It's not even realistic.
Yeah, it's
because you're getting your guys. You're getting the guys that you think right away.
And you can do it quicker.
Yeah.
You can do it a whole lot quicker than you used to be able to.
Well, I can tell you what is great, not good. That's the college football show hosted by Josh Pate. We appreciate the time.
Yes.
And have you made a decision on the Once Upon a Saturday first week yet?
I haven't even made a decision on the tour name yet.
Oh, okay.
So
My
I'm
bad.
probably, I don't know. We could go with that again. I saw Netflix all but stole my old tour name.
Copyright. Come on, man. Thank you, Josh.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, Josh. Josh Pate helping us wrap up, Drew, our live coverage of SEC Media Days. Sportsmed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center helping us put a cap on it. We'll have coverage for you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. to 9, Talking Ball. We'll wrap it all up.